Hey y'all, welcome back to another recording of our queer cooking series for the LGBTQ Center of Durham. This time I'm going to be making spicy fried cauliflower chicken. It's another recipe from Janae Claiborne's blog slash cookbook called Sweet Potato Soul. And I've tried this recipe several times. I love it. It's delicious. I've made it for some friends too. And yeah, I know with uh, eating a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, no less, it can be a little bit difficult to find some stuff that has a comparable texture or taste or flavor or something that reminds you of meat if that's what you grew up on. So, about a year ago, I had started making my own um, recipes for seitan, and I think I have it just about right. And so I think after I get another trial run or two, I might record that. Maybe. Y'all can let me know if that's something of interest to y'all. Um, but in the meantime, I'm gonna get started on this recipe to make sure that I don't run out of space on my phone like I did before. So I have the pot of cooking oil already started, so it should be just about good to go by the time we get everything else prepped together. I already have a cup of flour and a tablespoon ish of cornstarch, which y'all, cornstarch really does make a difference when you are frying some chicken. Cornstarch and also a little bit of cornmeal adds to that texture. Um, I learned that along the way with learning how to perfect my own fried chicken and fried meat substitute, like uh, seitan and cauliflower. So there's that. Uh, Also have the combination of spices already added to a cup, but for all intents and purposes, the ingredients call for salt, cayenne pepper, white pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, sweet or smoked paprika. I obviously use smoked paprika. Old Bay seasoning, nutritional yeast. So to cut out some of those ingredients at the top, like the salt, cayenne pepper, white pepper, onion powder, I instead have been using this, and it is so good. I probably put about a tablespoon in the mix, tablespoon ish, because of course I just eyeball a lot of it. I like the flavor of it, and it's a lot less hassle with having to pull out a whole bunch of spices at one time. So yeah, it's pretty great. What you're gonna do is with the flour and cornstarch mix, you're just tossing all that into there. Give it a good mix. And as a little bit of a pro tip, what I've noticed is that sometimes this stuff gets a little bit clumpy when you're, you know, mixing in veggies and stuff in this. So what I did was I would cut it in half, like whatever was in the bowl, I would just kind of like add a little bit to a separate bowl so that I'm not wasting a whole bunch of flour, and I can add some more as needed. And if you have leftover unused flour coating mix, you can always put that in a Ziploc bag and use it for later. So about half in there right now, and we'll add some more as needed. I'll put that off to the side. So for the dredging, the recipe originally called for a Dijon slash unsweetened plain soy slash almond milk, whatever. This is where my recipe and Janae's take a turn. Just creative differences, I suppose. So what I started doing when I was learning about making vegan fried chicken last year, invest in some chickpea flour. This is so good, and it's often used as an egg substitute to make like a vegan omelet of sorts. but it's also really great as like having a thick coating on whatever you're trying to cook. So this is about a half a cup of chickpea flour. Get some spicy brown mustard. And a little bit of just regular hot sauce, because I mean you're just going to mix it all together in this bowl with the chickpea flour. Sorry, I'm like having a brain fart right now. Once again, just eyeballing it. For the hot sauce, you know, this is also going to be more of like a preference. Depends on how much or how little you like. Me, that is good. Lastly, you add a little bit of water and you just mix until you feel comfortable with how that looks. You can, I guess it can be comparable to pancake batter. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. And you can just kind of go from there. And it's better to add too little than too much. I'm going to try to get most of the lumps out, but you know, it's just going to happen that way. Also, like with making pancakes or with other things that you're going to be cooking at high heat, my best piece of advice is to always start out with like one, like, you know, call it like the sacrificial piece first, because that'll give you a gauge of whether or not your stuff is too hot, or, you know, if you need to do something over, or if you get it right the first time, great. You just got a little bit of a snack while you're cooking the rest of your stuff. Boom. So, next step is where it starts to get a little bit fun. So, you get those little cauliflower pieces, you know, you get a head of cauliflower and you can just like chop it up into some decent chunks. Throw that bad boy in there. Make sure you coat it. You can knock off some of the excess stuff too. But you will probably use plenty of this dredging mix, so make sure that you have extra of the dredging mix on lock, because you're going to need it, especially if you're making like a whole head plus of cauliflower. Put that in there. Growing up though, I remember like my family would put fried chicken in a paper bag, like you know, the flour and stuff would be in a paper bag, and then they would just shake the paper bag, and you know, it was pretty convenient. It was pretty easy. So that's good and coated. Keep an eye on that for a few minutes. It'll start to fry quickly. I let this oil heat up, about, I'd say 15 minutes before I started cooking. So it had a bit of an opportunity to heat up and, you know, get the temperature that I like first. Always handy to have something to put your little container or your little spoon in. Ah, it smells so good. Also, little tip, whatever your oil container came in, you can reuse that to like put your spent oil in it after it's obviously cooled and gotten to room temperature. You can pour that back into the bottle to throw away, because obviously you should not be putting oil down your sink. Oh, Terrible idea. But yeah, dispose of that properly. I'm gonna start with just another one, you know, start of seasoning another one, because this really is like an assembly line once you get all this stuff together. And I always, you know, I make extra because one, I love it, and it reheats well with a little bit of aluminum foil wrapped around it, and then you heat it in the oven for a few minutes. And like I said before, I like to share my food, so I'll probably drop some off on a friend's front porch. That's coming along pretty good. It's almost about done. I like mine a little bit browner. I mean, this is when it comes down to more of like just preferences when you're frying your stuff. It gives it a nice little crunchy texture that I prefer once it has an opportunity to get a little bit browner. So. I also noticed that cornstarch helps everything to kind of stick as well. Perfect. And look at that. Just let that sit on some paper towels for a few minutes and, you know, get kind of cooled off, because trust me, you don't want to burn your mouth on these. So yeah, that's pretty much all you do when you're making some vegan spicy fried cauliflower chicken. And it's an assembly line from there. You might have to change out your oil depending on how much you're cooking, whatever. But just be careful and be safe when you're messing around with hot grease, because it ain't fun, okay? But yeah, thank you for sticking around. And this is a much shorter video. And don't forget to donate to the LGBTQ Center of Durham if you are so able. And have a great day.